Very first year of high school at East Ridge while he was fighting stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's very active in sports, baseball being his favorite. And he, during his playing season, was kind of cut short dramatically by the treatments that he needed to go through this year. And they finished on May 1st, and his recent scans are all clear. He's going to share his story with you tonight. And at this time, I'd like to turn the time over to our 2013 honorary survivor, Zach Netton.
Well, thanks, guys. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This is actually my first year participating in this, but it seems like a great event for people to come together for a good cause. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Zach Netton, and I'm a freshman here at East Ridge High School, and I represent one of many survivors that are here tonight. As you can see, I'm pretty tall for my age. I'm 14, so since I'm a teenager, I played a lot of sports like basketball, but as I mentioned, I'm a big baseball player. I'm a pitcher. I played with the same traveling team from the age of 10 years old, and I played for them for about 4 years until I switched to East Ridge Ball last year. We had a lot of fun times, tournaments, practices, and stuff, but probably one of the best memories we had was going to Cooperstown, New York for a baseball tournament, which we placed second in, and I gotta say, pitching there's really nothing like it. So about a year and a half ago, I started coughing a lot, and we didn't really know quite what it was. So I think that was the beginning of my 8th grade year at Lake Middle School. So they took me into a minute clinic, you know, at your CVS or Walgreens or something, and they diagnosed me with a sinus infection. So I started on some antibiotics, and it calmed my cough a bit, but it ended up coming right back. Further visits offered diagnoses from allergies, asthma, but the cough still persisted. I felt pretty worn down, but I still managed to play sports throughout the whole summer last summer. It was on September 7th, which was my 3rd day of high school. We started school that Tuesday, and that was on the Friday. My mom took me to an ear, nose, and throat consultation. My mom had pretty much enough of this cough by then. So we went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they did some tests, and they stuck this weird thing up my nose to look down my throat to make sure my voice box was okay and everything, so that was kind of weird, but that ended up being okay. But then my mom asked a question that turned out to be a pretty important question. She asked, well, how do we know it's not something with his lungs? Could we get a chest x-ray? To which they responded, well, we're not really lung doctors, but we could definitely order a chest x-ray. So I missed the beginning of school for this appointment, and so they took the chest x-ray, and then they said they'd call us with the results, and I ended up going back to school. So I was in math class during 5th hour when my math teacher, Mr. Paul, got a call, and he said, Zach, you're leaving. So not being a math-oriented person, I wasn't exactly devastated to be leaving math class, but, you know, I'm like, okay, well, it's probably, I don't really know what it was. So it was actually my dad who came and picked me up, and I asked him, hey, Dad, what's going on? Why am I leaving? I was just gone this morning. He's like, oh, well, we got to go back to the doctor. They found something on the chest x-ray. And that's when I'm like, oh, wow, this could be a little more than we thought it was. So we ended up going to the doctor, and Dad was telling me about it in the car, and they thought that they saw something on the chest x-ray, and they thought that I had an aortic aneurysm, which is obviously kind of a big deal. I probably would have had to go and have emergency heart surgery then. So I was freaked out and really didn't know what to think. So we went straight to the University of Minnesota, Amplas Children's Hospital. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it is one of the best places that treat children's cancer around the country, and it's really been a great place. So I get there, and obviously, like probably a lot of you out there, I really don't like needles that much. I've adapted to them, but I really still don't like getting them. So they ended up having to put an IV in my arm, which I was not thrilled about. And I was really freaked out. I'm like, I couldn't look at it. They stuck it in my arm. I'm like, okay, it's over, it's over. And actually, a funny story, a few weeks ago, I was getting an IV, I was getting my port out, and they had this weird thing that sounded like you were opening a pop bottle, but it completely numbed your arm, and you could not even feel it when they stuck the IV. And I'm like, where was this like 8 months ago? And I was like, come on now. So I got the IV in, and then over the next 2 days, I had everything from CT scans to PET scans, blood draws. and they chunked a piece of my neck out, a lymph node in my neck, to analyze it and see what was going on. And I had really never been in a hospital, much less a surgical suite before that. I think it was the day after that they inserted the port in my chest, which they ended up giving me chemo through. It was a little rubber thing that had a line that went into a blood vessel near my heart so that medicine would distribute faster. It was that Wednesday, September 12th, actually my dad's birthday, that we got the official diagnosis that it was stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. The cancer was in my chest, my spleen, and a couple spots on my lungs. And the scans show a mass of cancerous lymph nodes that took up 37% of my chest, which was pressing against my windpipe. So that part I'm thinking, oh, this is why he's been coughing. He has a huge mass in his chest that's pressing up against his windpipe. Okay, that makes sense. So that Wednesday night, I was given my first round of chemo. I really did not know what to expect, much less absorb everything that was happening to me in that time, because I was on a bunch of medicine and I was just kind of in shock and everything. So this was a pretty aggressive cancer. It was stage 4, which means that it had developed quite a bit. So they had to be aggressive right back. I had weekly chemo treatments that lasted between 2 and 3 days for the next 4 months. Obviously, I had to miss a lot of school, and you guys might think that endless Netflix access and no homework would be a good thing, but I actually started to miss school. The little confrontations you have with people in the hallway, you say hi to them and meet new people on the first day of school and everything, I missed that. And believe it or not, when finals came around and I wasn't there, I was like, well, if my friends have to suffer through finals, then I should have to suffer with them too. And it sounds weird because finals are really not fun, but I actually missed it. And I really missed the normalcy of the routine I had. I'd go to school, do stuff in class, ride the bus, come back home, do homework, and then just kind of chill the rest of the night. My friends visited me in the hospital a lot, and they didn't stare when my hair fell out. And that actually happened. I was in the shower, and I don't really look like it now, but I had kind of Justin Bieber hair back then. Those were the Bieber days. So I was washing my hair, and then I looked down at my hand, and there was like a big chunk that fell out. I'm like, whoa. Because we kind of knew this is what would happen, but I was kind of told, and maybe not, it might not happen, or it could happen much later down the road, but I was in the shower, and a big clump of hair fell out. So I don't really know what to think about that. After a few moments of kind of freaking out, like, oh my God, my hair's falling out, I went to my coach's house. His wife she cuts hair, and she just buzzed it all down. Hairstyling is pretty overrated anyway, I must say. Getting ready in the morning, you don't stress out over what your hair looks like, and I quickly realized that we spend a lot of time worrying about what we look when we should be worrying about different things. As I said, I really didn't know how to react to the whole cancer thing. When they first mentioned it, I was kind of like, whoa. Because you hear about people who are diagnosed and, you donate to causes like the American Cancer Society during school, but you never really had it hit home like it did this time. It was suddenly me who was being diagnosed, and it's like a light turned on. It's like, now I understood what this meant, and now I understood how hard it was, but with a positive attitude, you can really get through anything. And throughout the treatments, I saw my parents age a little bit through each treatment. So my brother Graham and my stepsisters Megan and Anna really helped me out, and of course my parents and my grandparents who came and visited me in the hospital. Before I was diagnosed, I really didn't know how strong of the support and the love that I had. It was on October 21st, my baseball family, as I call them, the ones I went to Cooperstown with, and the East Ridge Athletic Association, and the Woodbury Athletic Association, organized a fundraiser to help with medical expenses and whatnot. It was really great. They had the great idea of throwing a wiffle ball tournament. Obviously, since I'm an avid baseball fan, I was pretty happy about that, which happened on the black fields, which are around here somewhere. We had teams from everywhere. We had teams from Forest Lake, Lake Elmo, Cottage Grove, players that I played against that recognized me from being so tall and pitching on the mound. And that was great. The weather was crappy all week, and it was raining and cold, but the one day that we had the benefit, it was warm and beautiful. Are you putting glasses on it? Awesome. Yeah, so the weather was beautiful that one day out of the whole week, and it, felt good to throw a ball even if it was a wiffle ball. I can't see with you guys. I can't see anything. Yeah, so it was great to throw a wiffle ball, even if it was a wiffle ball, and swing a bat and do a little running. And it was really a great time, and the money that we raised was extremely helpful throughout treatment. Sometimes when you're going through something like this, you see people you know, and you really see discomfort on their faces. People really don't know what to say, so they end up saying nothing. Or people don't know how to ask you how you're doing, so again, they don't say anything. It's pretty strange. Under normal circumstances, things like this wouldn't really occur, but at the time, I didn't want a ton of pity or compassion. I kind of understood where people were coming from, but I just kind of wanted to get through it. Don't get me wrong, I've been very grateful for the grateful prayers and offers of help, but one thing I discovered over this period of time is that it's not easy being the center of attention sometimes. So I got cleared to go back to school right before Christmas. I came back before Christmas. I was handling the chemo treatments pretty well. I wasn't, no nausea or really a lot of fatigue at all, so I was happy to be back. After the 4 rounds of pretty intensive chemo I had, they said I would be switched to less intensive chemo rounds, but they didn't end up being less intensive. I was actually allergic to the new chemo cocktail that they gave me, and I had a severe enough reaction that I had to stay in the hospital both times that I got that. So that wasn't exactly fun, and I got pretty sick from that, but we got over it. It just kind of took the wind out of me, and I had to miss some more school. But I was determined not to miss my whole freshman year because I really didn't want to retake anything. So we had great help from some tutors, Betty McNiff and Aaron Murphy, who came to the house and helped me out, get caught up. Paper's blown away here. Helped me get caught up with school so I wouldn't have to miss freshman year, and that I will be a sophomore this coming fall. Spring break, instead of being on the beach and catching a tan and relaxing, I had to go through radiation treatments. But I finished my last radiation treatment on March 20th, and my last chemo treatment was on January 31st. So those were some pretty big moments throughout the treatment. And on May 1st, I had my first post-treatment scan that was clear of cancer. And on May 10th, they removed my port, which is what I told you about, that amazing device that they used on my arm for the IVs. So, my freshman year had its ups and downs. I learned to be more understanding and realize that ultimately, if you have a positive attitude, it will end up with a positive outcome. It really doesn't do any good to complain about things. You just have to have a positive attitude and accept the support you have around you, and ultimately keep smiling. For all the survivors and everybody who came out here today, I want to thank you for your support, your understanding, and we are ultimately here today because of the positive attitude and support that came with us on our journeys. For that, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Pan around and get this.
Thank you, Zach. You are an amazing inspiration, and we are grateful to have you